Don't wait till the battle's over. Don't wait till the struggle ends. Shout now, shout now, right now, shout now, shout now. Don't wait till you make it.
Hey everyone, this is Phillip, and welcome to the PHILLIP Show. I'm going to grab my coffee before we get started. So today, this is, again, being in the season of fall, this is from the Emporium here in Yellow Springs, and it is pumpkin. Apparently, I'm a huge fan of pumpkin coffee now. I never really was a fan before, but, don't talk about my choices. So today, we're sitting down with an amazing guest. His name is Jason Laveck, and we're going to be talking about our passions and how we move from being in family, being involved in a lot of things, to still maintaining and still having outlets to service our passions. What is our drive? Where are we going? Why are we doing what it is that we're doing? Whether it's our profession, whether it's our hobby, whatever that is, how does it take place in our lives, and how do we concentrate on it? What do we do? And Jason's here, and he's going to give us a little bit more perspective. So help me to welcome Jason Laveck. Jason, hey, how are you?
Hey, Phil. How's it going, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's a slow Sunday over here at the Laveck household.
Yeah. So so you opened that up. Tell me about the Laveck household. Why is it a slow Sunday, and what normally goes on?
Well, we just don't have anything planned today. We usually are like running here, running there, running all over the place. We have one kid at a play date across town right now, and then my wife and the other two kids are in there doing laundry. So I didn't have anything planned other than this today. So here I am, just chilling out, relaxing.
That's awesome. It's a total chill day. Like, the weather's holding off. There's a lot of stuff going on in town here. And I'm just glad that it's not a downpour out there.
Right.
Yeah. So, all right. So you have a lot going on at the house. You have a lot of. You are involved in a lot of different things. You have a lot of different skills, if you will. How did you? For the people who don't know, just give us a rundown of some of the things that interest you.
Things that interest me.
Yeah.
Photography is one of my main interests. I would say my family is my main interest, but photography is something I've done for probably like 15 years now. So that's one of the biggest things. And then there's other stuff that I do that's a part of my photography that's like some of my bigger passions, which includes working with oncology patients in any capacity. And then I'm very passionate about, my wife and making sure that she's doing well, and that our business is thriving too. So those are some of the biggest things that I've got going on.
Nice. So let's get to your photography second, but I want to talk about what you just said about your wife, because you're juggling a lot of hats. You're a father, you do photography, you're married, you're busy, and you have an entire other business. What partnership do you have with your wife, and what business is that?
We have a salon in Kettering called 937 Salon and Spa. Okay. She's a hairstylist. She's very passionate about education, and then I just kind of do the business end of that from my office where I'm sitting right now at home during the week. And so she can go there and do all the things with the employees at the salon. I stay here. I've been taking care. Our baby just turned 1 year old, and so I stay home with him a lot.
Yeah, congratulations. You mentioned oncology, and you related it to doing photography. How did you first get started with photography, and how did that transition into you relating the two with oncology?
Well, I started taking pictures. I had a ton of different cameras growing up. The long rectangle camera with the flash, all kinds of different Polaroids. So I've always loved photography, but I eventually learned about pro photography, and that the type of equipment that you need to produce that. So one day I put it's probably 2006 or 7. I put a camera on a credit card and bought it, a Canon camera, had it delivered, started just taking pictures of people and nature. And when I saw the finished product after I get it on a computer and just edit it down a little bit, like I became very passionate about getting these pictures. So and then when I connected it with oncology, I worked in oncology for about 12 years as a scheduler and a patient advocate, helping with financial stuff for cancer patients. So I worked with cancer patients for a really long time. About, I say, like a few years into working with them, I thought about how passionate I was about photography, and then I thought these people were going through a lot. What if they got some free photography or some free family pictures or whatever? So I started an event called Portraits of Hope back in 2016, where I partner with Miami Valley Hospital, Premier Health, and we just have a day where we do cancer education, take pictures with patients, their families, whatever they want. I just stay there as long as they need me.
That is that's a huge, I don't even say it's a goal, a task, or whatever. That's a huge passion project, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me about how you got started with oncology in particular. Was that something that you wanted to go into, or like how did that become something?
Well, I grew up in Springfield. I started working at Donato's when it opened up. When I was 14 years old. I worked at Donato's. That was the only job I had from 14 to 24.
Oh, wow.
And then when I ended up leaving Donato's, I took a temp job at Miami Valley Hospital, working in medical records. And then I got into the healthcare system, moved to Columbus for a year, worked at a hospital up there, came back, and by chance through another temp agency, I got on at the oncology center, and they liked me, how well I worked, so they hired me on. Started at the bottom and then just started climbing as any chance I got at opportunity to go up. I went into from medical records to being a scheduler, where I scheduled them for all their appointments and everything. And then eventually I became a financial counselor, a patient advocate, where I found grants and programs for cancer patients and assistance for their chemotherapy and injections. So what about working with them kind of pulled on your heartstrings, and you was like, and you kind of thought, there's something else that I do that I can help in some way? What was that? Well, I was always moved by their stories, and I've heard so many people that from so many different backgrounds, because cancer, it just hits anybody. It doesn't matter how much money you have, how much money you don't have, how bad you have it already, or how good you have it. Like, it just hits anyone. So I heard stories from all different backgrounds of how cancer interrupted their lives. And then I thought to myself, like, I wish there was more I could give back. Like, I don't know how to do that, though. And I had to think about, like, what am I passionate about? What gifts do I have that I can give to somebody else? And I was like, photography. So I remember the moment I thought about it, and I texted my wife, and she said, that's a great idea. I think you should do that. And so I texted her, and we did the first Portraits of Hope in Beaver Creek, Ohio, back in 2016. And then every year after that, we partnered with Premier Health and did it at the hospital. So, and then every year, now that I'm not working in oncology anymore, that's my opportunity to talk to them. And I connect with them online and everything. I go to different cancer events when I can to help support or donate my time in taking photography there as well. And it's just, I continue to want to hear these stories. I like to see, how I start at the bottom of the chain when I start working, then I climb the ladder. I like to see these people's stories where I've got pictures of, like, a lady that came the first week she started chemo with a bald head, and she's came every year since that initial diagnosis to now. And I have pictures from every year, and you can see the progress, and you can see her hair getting longer, you can see her smile getting bigger, and then you talk to these people, and I can look at the pictures, and I'm like, man, this is great. Like I got to see this person grow through this, and that's the best part about it. Is if anyone ever thinks that they've got something bad going on, and then even myself, if I think something bad's going on in my life, I can think back to these encouraging stories of somebody getting diagnosed with the disease and it interrupting their entire life. Like I think about it, I feel like I'm a very empathetic person, and I think about that in my own life. If that were to happen to me right now, like, how would I react? Would I be like super happy about it, like some of these people are? Because I've seen people all over the spectrum in regards to how happy they are, how they're going through that diagnosis. With people that, yeah.
Let me ask. So you've met people who have been diagnosed with cancer, and their response was to be happy.
I don't know if that was their initial response. A lot of people, they turn to like, they're so involved in their faith that they have whatever, like I said, different backgrounds all over the spectrum. These people, you can see people that will react and say, I can't believe this is happening to me. And you have other people that are like, I'm going to get through this. They're encouraged. And there's a couple of stories that I can just really think of where these people, like, they told me this story. This one lady in particular told me about how she like just ran into somebody that was really upset in public. And she started getting in a conversation with her, and this lady had just been diagnosed with the same thing she had, and she was able to encourage that lady there in this department store, and she had the same exact diagnosis, and she told her how she got through it. And stuff like that. Like, would I be able to do that? Would I be able to go out and do that? And I'd like to think so, but I've always got these stories to go back to kind of encourage me and help me grow in my walk of life.
How do you schedule these portraits of hope? What is the process to either encourage or present somebody with the opportunity to, have their photograph taken?
Well, there was a portion of the Portraits of Hope event where before COVID, we would have people from my wife's salon come out, and they would do their hair, they would do their makeup, and they would make them feel beautiful again in their own skin, because as they're going through chemotherapy, there's a lot that happens to the body. Hair falls out, this, that, and the other, and I've heard a lot of stories where people just say they don't feel like they're beautiful anymore, and so having these pictures for them, and sometimes photography is like a luxury service for people. Like, a lot of people can't afford to get it done, and then I'm just kind of there to be that vessel for them. I'll give you free pictures, you can use them for whatever you want, and that's how we get people to book. Is a lot of people really just want free pictures and to look pretty for a day. So a lot of people get real prettied up. Some people come in t-shirt and jeans. It's a wide array of people. I've got a guy that comes every year in a full like suit, tie, and it's usually in the middle of summer when we do it. So it's like 80 degrees out. And this guy's out there sweating in a whole full suit and tie. So I think that's how we get them to book. And then we have the one event every year, like I said, which is in summer, and we just have them go online and book through a booking link.
I love that you're using your skills, and I mean pretty much all of your skills, because your managerial and your business skills come into play as well, all of those talents, but specifically in a time where you could be taking portraits of anything. We're in a very digital, visual, busy type of entertainment driven. There are a lot of things that you can be doing, and it's so awesome to hear that, you know, your heart is pulled in the direction of hope, and your heart is pulled in the direction of being, you know, being of service. For people who are interested in like connecting with you, where would they go if they had a loved one, or they themselves were saying, hey, I want to be a part of this, or I want to help support or sponsor, or whatever I can do, I want to connect? Where would they go to do that?
Yeah, so everything is usually coordinated through Facebook. So my Laveck Photography Facebook page, or Laveck Photography Instagram page, and they're just, you know, spelled out like that. And so I usually have like an event page, and everybody talks on there. Whenever I announce the date for the next year's event, I go and post in all the old events that I have and let everybody know. And then I do have some of the survivors' emails, because a lot of people don't do Facebook nowadays. So I send emails out. And then I also partner with the hospital. So the hospital actually makes flyers and hands it out. The hospital, that they have the oncology office that I used to work in, and then they have like 2 or 3 other oncology offices where they hand these out, and they give them to the different offices there in the building, and people hear about it through there as well.
Wow. On your, if somebody were to go to your website, would they also be able to find this information?
Yeah, on laveckphotography.com, there is a side little drop-down menu for Portraits of Hope, and it's not updated now because we haven't announced next year's event date yet. But there is it shows a couple of the portraits, and there should be a way to get like links to the pictures I've taken from previous years. And at the end, I don't want to say the end, but at some point I do want to make like collages and whatnot. I want it to be a real project, like an art project, because I thought about it when I first started it. Like, I want it to be the Portraits of Hope project, and I want to show these stories in visual form, and not really put words with it, but just so people can interpret it for themselves. Show somebody's journey, or an individual that came 1 year only, because I've had a lot of those too, people who have actually lost their battle. So, but there is like everybody can look at all the pictures from previous years and see, and those pictures are also hosted on my Laveck Photography Facebook page as well.
That's awesome. For people who may be wondering, because I'm sure that people do, that it might be a little bit sad, to have these pictures taken. It might be, I don't want to use the word morbid, but they may not want to either suggest, or from your perspective, what sort of hope does this provide? What does this do for the individuals that are getting their pictures taken?
I think it's really good for their self-confidence. There's kind of like a little tribe of people there that help encourage one another. We have a group that comes out every year from the Pink Ribbon Girls, and so they all get a picture together, like 20 women every year get this picture together. You see a lot of hope there because, like I said, during non-COVID years when we've done it, there's all this education. They have counselors and stuff that people can meet up with. These are all free resources for cancer patients. Mm-hmm. So it's to help them navigate that journey. It might seem morbid, but a lot of people also want pictures with their loved one before something happens to them. And I think that's a big part of it. They just want to get one last family photo, or a patient wants to get a picture with their grandson or granddaughter. There's a lot of hope there, and there's so much going on in the world where you're like, gosh, this sucks. And this day, I every year they come to me, these patients come to me with tears in their eyes, and they say, I look forward to this one day every year. And it's so, like, it's moving, because for me, it doesn't take a lot of effort. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I want to do this. I want to give back. And it's like, I'm not even really doing it to myself. I don't feel like I'm doing anything. I feel like I'm giving a free service to some people who are amazing, strong, and they deserve it. They deserve everything. Like, and this is my small, one little tiny thing that I could do for them. And if it makes even one of them happy, I'm all about it. I'm all about that life.
This sounds much more than just photography to you.
Yes, absolutely. It is a community, and community is key. Just being in a community of people that encourage you, that help you become a better person, become a better human, and people just constantly educating you and loving you. It's a good environment to be fostered.
With the placement of your project now, with where it is now, what do you hope? I know that you talked about having a collection, but what do you hope happens with this project? Looking down the road, the epitome of it, like I would love to see the project become this. What is that this?
I haven't really thought much about the future of it. I know before COVID hit, it was growing in size every year, and we were trying to come up. We even did 2 of them one year, where we had some patients up north near Inglewood and Vandalia, and it was kind of like an overflow from what we had there, because I was booking in 5-minute time slots. Every 5 minutes would be booked up completely from 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. So there were upwards to 50 people and their families that I was taking pictures of in that small amount of time. So
wow.
The cancer education fair is one of the biggest things about it. There was a year, and this is something I'd like. I was wanting to get speakers to come out at some point, to whether it be not a motivational speaker or a local celebrity that's dealt with cancer or battled cancer. I know Rob Lowe is from Dayton, Ohio. He lived in Oakwood growing up, and I think it was his mother had cancer, and I tried to find him on Twitter one year, and I was like, that didn't work out for me, but that would be something if I had to add to the event, to have it back at capacity, once everybody's doing good with COVID, so we can do the cancer education fair, have a guest speaker out. I've had food trucks in the past before as well. Just grow it. I mean, turn it into some kind of festival or something. I don't know what I would do with it at that point, but I think it would be really cool to have motivational speakers or something at some point where they come out and everybody has a bite to eat and they listen to someone speak. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, that definitely sounds really. It takes it from being just a portrait session, if you will, to being an entire event. And you made as a creative director, you made me tired with the 5-minute increments.
Yeah, it was
wait.
Well, and keeping track of the people, I don't know everyone's name. I mean, seeing that many people, and there's new people every year too. So we have a list where people sign in on an iPad, and they have their actual appointment time slots. But I would not be able to match their pictures up with names, so I just throw everything into a gallery, and I'm like, you're free to download whatever you want. And I mean, I take over 1,000 pictures usually in that 4-hour period. I'm doing those photos. So yeah, it is tiresome. I get sunburned a lot because it is in the middle of summer. I'm out there. I usually don't get a drink. I have water sitting back somewhere. And I never even get to go drink it. And then I do a lot of squats when I'm taking photos. I just go down into squat position and get photos like this, and it looks like I'm doing a workout, and it is a workout because the next day my legs are killing me. So you're right to be tired at that.
Well, yeah, and one of the things that I love about what you're saying is that just through the passion that you're exuding here and the care that you have for it, even with all of the fast pace and the physical like obligation, it seems to be more than worth it.
Hmm. Yeah, it is. And you get kind of a high during the day from just seeing everybody. And
Yeah.
sometimes people show up that you didn't know were going to be there. And it's like, it's good to see you. And yeah, it's nice. And for me, same thing with them, that where I said that they said this is the thing they look forward to every year. I do too, because I used to see cancer patients every day, and I don't anymore, and I don't get to hear those stories every day. So
Yeah.
and if I'm doing 5-minute time slots, I don't get to hear news stories. I've got 5 minutes to get caught up on a year's worth of whatever's been going on in someone's life. So I have the pictures, and I can kind of see the story, and I get the cliff notes when I'm visiting with them, and that, yeah, it's a big thing for me.
Well, I love it, and I hope that the next event is great. Now I want to transition just a little bit because I see in the background some guitars. You play guitar?
I'm learning.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law passed away back in July, and one of his biggest talents was playing guitar. And I don't know if it's like a spiritual thing or not, but I don't feel like anyone's ever really completely gone. And I was like, well, maybe some of his energy will come to me. And I haven't had a lot of time lately to play, but I pick up the guitar. I've been buying records that I listen to hear guitar parts I want to hear. And so when I hear it, I come in here to my office, I Google what the tablature is, because I can read the tablature. I practice playing it for a few hours, and that's it.
Wow.
It's just another thing that I took on, but I knew I needed something else creative, and something like that, and it's kind of an homage to my brother-in-law.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. Yeah. Well, I'm excited that you came. Thank you so much for giving us an inside perspective into your portraits of hope, the why, and why you're so passionate about it. And if you had in our final moments, I guess, if you could encourage somebody today with some of the things that you've experienced along the way, whether they are a cancer survivor, whether they're even involved in any of the process, just to be encouraged, what would you say to someone?
Well, to be very generic, I would just, first off, like, be kind to everyone around you. You don't know what they're going through, but to encourage somebody, some people may not have met that person that is going to fully encourage them and give them the story that's going to make a light bulb go off in their head. Someone that may be going through, or has in the past gone through, the same thing as them. But I think people need to know that this isn't the end of your story. This is not. A lot of people have the choice to take two different routes. Are you going to, you gonna let this destroy you, or are you gonna let this grow you? One of my favorite things that I've heard before is the same water that boils an egg softens a potato. So one of them gets hardened and one of them gets softened, but they're both going through the same thing, and that transcends to people and how when they go through different things in life. Are you going to let the water boil you and make you hard like the egg, or are you going to be softened like the potato?
Wow, I love that. Well, Jason, thank you so much for inspiring us today and sharing your message. I appreciate you for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate this. I've got to watch a few of the episodes of some of the other people I know here in town, and it's been great. I love your positivity and what you bring to the table out here, and I hope to see more of it in the future.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was Jason Laveck and Portraits of Hope. And even beyond that, you heard his passion. You heard his heart for the work that he does, using the talents that he has. So in line with what he was saying, be kind. And if there's anything that you took from this, just remember that each person has their own story, and we can be inspired in so many different ways if we give ourselves the opportunity to listen. All right. So remember, you are the best you in the world, and I will see you next time here on the PHILLIP Show. Thanks for being with us.
Don't